Well, I want to thank everybody for coming today. We appreciate you coming for this great announcement. Today we have some guests here from the state. We have an announcement about a disaster relief grant. And with us today is the Commissioner of the State Economic and Community Development Group, Randy Boyd. And he is the founder of Radio Systems, and I think he's worked a lot on the Drive to 55. And so please help me in joining welcoming Randy Boyd.
Thank you, Jim. So it's always great to come back to Jackson. So for those that don't know, Margaret Boyd in 1832 migrated from Moore, North Carolina to Madison County. And so my Boyds were here. You may know Fred Boyd or some of the other relatives I have in town, but we've been here for almost 200 years. My grandfather actually moved up to Obion County, where my dad was raised, and then he took me to Knoxville because of my mom. So sorry that I had to leave town, but I come back as much as I can. In fact, I was just talking with some of the guys from Jackson Electric, and we're going to be back April 9th for the Jackson Marathon. So just any excuse to get back to Jackson. But today's excuse is a really great one. And as we were just talking about this, it's kind of not as much of a surprise as I'd like it to be, because it's already known that you guys have won some disaster resiliency grant money. But so instead of being a big surprise announcement, maybe there's some of you that haven't heard the number, but for those that have, I think it's a celebration. It's just an opportunity to celebrate something that's great that's going to happen for this community. And it's also an opportunity to say thank you and recognize all those that work so hard to make this happen. So these are grants they're not automatic. People work hard for them. So the federal government came up with these disaster resiliency grants for, I think, it was a really good idea. Usually we wait for a disaster to happen and then we send money to go fix it. Well, wouldn't it be great if you actually gave money in advance so that we didn't have disasters in the first place? So that's what this money does. The state of Tennessee won 10 projects. It was a relatively large pool of money. Tennessee was one of the most successful states in winning these grants. And the state of Tennessee won $44 million, and we won 10 different projects. And the great news for Madison County is that of those 10 projects, you won 3 of them, or 30%, and maybe even more importantly, you won 50% of the money. Congratulations. And mentioned the 3 different grants for those that don't know. So there's 3 big grants that you won. First off, the Jackson Water Systems Improvement. For that, it's $13.3 million, and Jackson Electric Authority is going to be administering that. They've already got plans to get underway, I think they said later this summer, which is fantastic. The second one was the Jackson Flood Control. The West Tennessee River Basin Authority is going to be managing that, and that's for $5.7 million. And then the third one and the last one is the Forked Deer River Floodplain and Waterway Restoration. Also, the West Tennessee River Basin Authority is going to manage that, and that one is for $5.5 million. Now, every one of them is important, but I really like this one because it's also going to come with walkways and a lot of recreation area as well. So not only can you fix a problem, but you can also enhance the community at the same time. And I have lost a little note with all the folks that were involved, but Jim Farrell with the Jackson Electric Authority, the West Tennessee River Basin Authority, our mayors, all of them came together to make this happen. So again, this is a celebration and an opportunity just to say congratulations and thank you for everybody that made this happen and make this part of the state that I'm very proud of, a little bit more livable and a little bit more disaster resilient. So congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Jim Farrell with the Jackson Energy Authority. You know, people that have been here in this community know that Jackson and West Tennessee have seen our fair share of natural disasters, from ice storms to tornadoes to floods in this case. And you know, these events are very difficult and trying for our communities, but a lot of times a positive comes out of that. You think about the Westover community, Union University, downtown Jackson, all these went through some very disastrous events through tornadoes and other things. Now you look at Union University, it's a beautiful campus. You look at downtown Jackson, the area where the lift and the Jackson Walk was. I'm glad the mayor's not here, but it was kind of rough before the tornado came through. And we've got a beautiful area down there, and people are wanting to come down and do business in downtown Jackson. So I think this is another example of a positive outcome out of a negative event. This is a mitigation grant based off of the 2010 and 2011 floods that we experienced several years ago. In the utility business, we like to have a backup plan for everything. And unfortunately, when we have a natural disaster, typically utility infrastructure is what gets damaged. So part of this is going to be to try to help implement some backup plans, probably even quicker than if we were doing it ourselves on our own dime. So I'm really appreciative of the additional money. This grant's going to allow us to build some redundancy and some resiliency into our water and our wastewater systems. And I do want to thank the commissioner and his staff for putting together a great grant. The way to understand it, there was 13 grants across the country that were awarded from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, and so they must have put together a pretty good grant, so we got one of the 13, and we got $44 million out of it. So we really appreciate their work on this and everything that they've done to help with Jackson. Here in Jackson, we are truly blessed with a very high-quality source of water. Some of you may know there's some areas in the country that are really struggling with their water supply right now. So we're extremely pleased that we've got a great aquifer that we pull from, and our water quality is extremely good even before it goes through our treatment process. So we're really excited about that. This grant is going to help increase our reliability and anything that future disasters may cause to our water system. So we're hoping this will help with that. A couple of the projects that we're going to do, we have a feed that goes into the south part of Jackson, so we're going to put a redundant feed so that we have two sources of water and two sources of wastewater going to and from the south feed. In our community, we have a lot of waterways and wetlands, and this creates a little bit of a challenge for the utility business because getting across those waterways is very expensive, very difficult to do. So this grant's going to allow us to be able to do some things that we probably wouldn't have done for a long period of time. In addition to the south feed, we're going to make improvements to our wastewater feeds to the eastern and western portions of our community. Both of these areas have a lot of our industrial customers, and also we have some residential areas in those areas. Operations of these systems is critical for the success of those businesses. So we're looking forward to being able to get those in place too to try to help those businesses when we do have the next natural disaster. Unfortunately, we have had our share here in Jackson, and we know that there's probably more to come. We're also going to make some improvements to our Miller Avenue wastewater treatment plant. These will help increase the reliability of the plant operation and create a storm operation mode for heavy rain events. As we said, this is a 100% funding grant. We've got some of our water and wastewater guys here today, and they call it manna from heaven. This is really good. $13 million for our wastewater system is a big amount of money for us. This is something that would take a long time for us to fund that amount. So we're really pleased to have that. That's not going to have a huge impact on our capital budgets because we're going to be able to use this money to do that. Last thing, I did want to thank a few folks. Grants like this don't happen without a lot of support. First off, I'd like to thank my board of directors. I have a couple of them here. Mr. Ken Marston and Monty Jones are here representing our board. We appreciate everything they do because we've done some other funding events, and we've got to have the support of our board to be able to do that. And we've got that again with this grant here. I also want to thank all of our team. I have several of our folks here from Jackson Energy Authority. Steve Raper is our Senior Vice President of our water system. Eddie O'Neill is here. He's our water system engineer, water and wastewater system engineer. Also, we have a couple other folks that have helped us. J.R. Walford, Greg Davenport from J.R. Walford did a lot of the technical work behind this grant. Also, we have community development partners. Betsy Wigington is here, and they put a lot of this grant together. And as I've told people, putting a grant together, there's a little bit of an art to that. And so you got to have somebody that really knows what they're doing to put that together, and we appreciate their work on this. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Harris to close us out today.
Well, good afternoon. It's a great day, any day you're going to get money, you know. Commissioner, we appreciate you being here and making this announcement. You know, a lot of folks across Tennessee really don't totally understand the issues we have in West Tennessee as far as the drainage, erosion, and things like that, flood control. It's a kind of an ongoing issue with us year in, year out. the West Tennessee River Basin Authority has been an absolute, I guess you'd say, godsend to West Tennessee because of the work they do to not just on projects like this, but in general, day in and day out, of helping us address some of the issues we have, some of the drainage and flooding issues. And I'll speak on behalf of Mayor Gist as well, the work that has been done and will be done down in the south part of the city. It really will add to the quality of life for those folks to help at least alleviate some of the flooding that occurs not on a regular basis, but pretty often enough that I think this will give them a little assurance of not having to experience that. The flood control up, it's just north of Black and Decker on the 45 bypass, and that's really exciting, and it is, we did have certainly a real issue there in the 2010 flood. That everything that is proposed to be incorporated in this development was underwater for several weeks there. So I think that will help alleviate not just immediately that area, but it'll also help alleviate some of the issues downstream to be able to control some of the floodwaters there. But the real, I guess, plum in that is that area will be used, we will have, it all hasn't been planned out, but in general, we'll have some walking trails, potentially some bike trails, wildlife viewing areas and things like that. It'll all be natural. There will be nothing manicured or maintained, but it will be a recreational avenue for some of our citizens around here that will add to, I think, the beauty of the area. And so thank you, Commissioner, for being here and making the effort to do that. And we really appreciate the funds we've received. I think the money will go to good use. And I want to say again how much we appreciate the River Basin Authority working on our behalf on Madison County and the city of Jackson to get this grant. And they have the expertise to carry it out. And when it's done, I hope you'll be back for the opening of it, because I think you will see a real work of art in that. So thank you all for being here and have a good day. Thank you.